Hello, everybody.
What's up, everyone?
Welcome to another edition of the 13th Dimension. And tonight we have a fun night for all of you with Philip Gibson.
Hello, everybody.
And we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, ancient aliens. And as you can notice, he's got himself a little spacey hoodie on.
Yeah, well, there, my beard's in the way. There we go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're going to have to cut
my
that off before too long.
yeah, Pleiades are definitely my favorite star cluster in the night sky. I just have a intense like draw to that star cluster. Always have, I've always had to. I've had a just a strong like pull to that star cluster.
But you have no idea why, do you?
No, I just know it's absolutely stunning to look at. And I'm hoping one day I'm starting to get my astrophotography package or my astrophotography kit put together. I'm ordering lenses and getting all my stuff together, and I hope that's like well, I've already taken pictures of the Milky Way. I've already photographed the Milky Way a few times, but I really want to make the the Pleiades probably my first like deep sky object that I photograph and post process and stuff like that. 'Cause it's just an absolutely just beautiful cluster to look at with that blue glow to it and that blue like dusty around each star. Yeah, it's stunning. So, but yeah, it's just I've always had this draw to the cluster itself and and they talk about we talk about ancient aliens. We were talking about that and how that people wonder why that Orion and the Pleiades and different star and different constellations always creep up, and Arcturus always creep up in ancient um, ancient history. Is a lot of people believe that they believe that well they said in their writings and in their that the people there's star people came from those different you know uh, planets within those star systems. So, then they claim there's a lot of bloodlines on this Earth that are they have Pleiadian bloodline in them, Orion bloodline and different, Arcturian bloodlines. So, if you believe in that, the ancient alien theory, that we've been seeded here on Earth by those ETs, that humans were created pretty much as a DNA experiment. And they said that a lot of people have those bloodlines inside them. So, and that's where a lot of people believe that we get those strong draws, to these different constellations. While we're so like you look up at the sky and just feel like you know, like it's home almost. So,
I absolutely believe in that. I fully believe that we were seated here many years ago.
yeah,
Because there's just too much evidence out there to not say that there's nothing else out there, and we all came from somewhere,
yeah,
and it makes complete sense that if you're looking at a place and it's you feel like it's home, just like sometimes you feel that way here. You look at a building or at a city, that's home to me, and it makes perfect sense to be able to do that out there in space.
yeah. I mean, I always, even on, I live in the city, so the light pollution is pretty strong here. But
Oh,
I
sure.
always go out and I am always like looking up in the sky because it's just it's just it always and every time I look up I look at these I look at Orion's belt, I look at the see Jupiter in the sky or see Arcturus in the sky, and you always wonder if there's someone on another planet, you know, rotating around, around those different stars that are looking up and wondering the same thing about, if there's somebody else out there.
Well, there
Uh,
has to be.
Yeah,
There has to be, because if we are thinking it, how how could it not be possible for somebody else? There's just no way. Um, but I do believe that most of them would probably already have their proof that life
mhm,
exists somewhere else.
yeah,
It's just just a matter of time for us to have our undeniable proof that we can actually see in a public way,
yeah.
or even accept it in a public way. I guess that would be the better thing.
Definitely think we're heading in that direction. I mean, with with these with these congressional hearings, with these whistleblowers and different military, with these different military.
I gotta bring
Um,
this.
oh, Nick, it's possible. I do have a story. I do have a kind of a crazy story, and that kind of, I mean, what it is, when Nick said that, I kind of get a chuckle out of it. But my mom, she told me a story, and I don't tell this to a lot of people because it's kind of, I'm not I'm not like embarrassed of it or anything, but it's like it's kind of like really out there. Um, and I don't like I said, I don't tell this to a lot of people, but before my mom, conceived me, she she was laying in her, laying in bed one night. She was wide awake. She just laid down, and she was laying. My dad was either, I think he was still at work. He drove truck for Pitt, Ohio, and Cook Motor Lines. So he sometimes got home a little later, but he was home every night, but he would sometimes get home a little later than. So she was laying in bed one night, and she said she saw this being dressed in like a really shiny silver costume, like a silver outfit, and he came out of the closet, and she is like swore to this day. I still talk to her about it. And I always ask her, "Are you just saying that?" She said, "No, I am being serious." She said she was laying there, and this humanoid being came out of the closet, walked over to her, and put his hand above my mom's midsection. And she said it felt like it felt like something was being pushed in, or her stomach was pulling outward. And it's quick, and then he put his hand on her forehead, and next thing you know, he let go, and he just like walked back into the area where the closet was. What's interesting though, and this is she swears to this by the day. She said the next day she was down in town. This is when we lived in West Virginia, which is where I was born at. She My brothers were at home. She was in town. She said, or they said that there was a a black car pulled up with two men in black suits, and they walked up to the house and asked me where their mother was, and she said that they were, well, she's in town, down there, go to the grocery store or something, and they just turned around, got in the car, and left. Now this is before, and she was telling this story before we even heard. I mean, I guess the Men in Black thing has been around for quite a while, but this was back. She's been telling this story since the 80s. I was born in '77, but she and I continue to ask her about this.
The time where they were doing Project Blue Book.
Possibly this was early '80s. Um,
They were disbanded long before then.
But yeah, she still swears, and I keep asking her. I said, are you sure this happened? And she said, yeah. She said, I swear. She said, right, and then right after that, she was pregnant with me. And like almost, well, she lost a baby. If she, I would have had a sister that would have been between me and my next oldest brother, my middle brother, and but she was stillborn, so and they weren't, and I wasn't planned. It was like it just happened. They were hoping, they I don't think they were planning to have another baby, but they had one, which was me. So yeah, that's kind of strange. And then she gets pregnant with me, and then right after that, like immediately after that, she found out she was pregnant with me. So
Wow.
yeah,
That
so I'm
is
just
that's quite the story there.
yeah, and and I've always wondered. I've always had well, I didn't really get a fast. Well, I take it back. I've had a fascination about space and um, for most of my life. I've always been a big fan of Star Wars and Star Trek and Battlestar Galactica and Buck Rogers and all that stuff like that. And but I really didn't start really being. I didn't really start getting into like the cosmos, the planets and nebula and quasars and pulsars and galaxies up until I was in my early 20s, and it just like hit me with like a ton of bricks, and I was like immediately like drawn to the Pleiades, and I can just pull up and it's a strange joke. I can pull up a picture of the Pleiades and literally tear up about it when I see it, and it's the strangest thing. I'm not like that with any other like you know deep space objects. Yeah, I could look into pictures of nebula and stuff like, wow, that's beautiful, but there's something about the Pleiades, man, just draws me, and I can look at it sometimes and just tear up. Like I can go out and you can see it, in the sky right now. It's really faint where I'm at. But I walked outside probably about a week or two ago in the morning before I was going to work. I walked outside. You can look straight up in Orion's belt's right there, and if you look over next to Orion's belt, you can see the Pleiades. And I was like, oh, look at that. And you could see it, but it was really like fuzzy, but you could see it. And I literally almost teared up when I saw it. It's strange. It's really strange.
It it sounded like you're homesick.
Well, I hope when I hope when we do pass off this earth and are able, I hope I'm able to travel the cosmos because that's the first place I'm going. I am going to that. I just want to look up on that with my own eyes.
Wouldn't that be
So,
something?
yeah, yeah. So
That, that actually kind of begs a question in the paranormal. If once we pass, there's that theory that we go somewhere to haunt where our most cherished memories is at, or where our most horrific memory is at.
yeah.
And so, if we can go anywhere around the world, who's to say that we can't travel through space and haunt another planet?
Who's to say that when we're doing conducting our EVP sessions and our ITC sessions that we're not talking to deceased people. Maybe we're talking to people from alternate parallel universes, parallel realities, other planets. You know, who knows? It's that's what's crazy because I think the opportunities are completely open. Or the possibilities are completely open
Oh yeah,
to who we may be talking to. I think it could be a mix of everything. Um, it's like it's weird because when I'm at a cemetery or something, and I was talking to I think I was talking to uh, Nick. Maybe we were. I was talking to somebody at at Para Unity, and we were talking about the whole
well that just
the,
narrows it down to about two
yeah.
hundred.
I know I was over talking to. I think it was over at Nick's booth, and but it was somebody there. It might have been Sean or it could have been Liz. I'm not sure, but we were talking about communication with spirits, and I was like, what's weird is I'm at a graveyard, and I'm talking like I can go to Graceland Cemetery here in Elkhart, and I can practically almost guarantee that I can come in contact with this certain child. He's the child always comes through every single time, and in the same places. And I keep thinking to myself, what is a child doing in a cemetery? It's like, why would you want to stick around there for? Why would a child want to you know, hang out in the cemetery after it's passed? And I think about it, and I'm like going, what if in our reality it's a cemetery? In his reality, like in our reality, it's me in a cemetery talking to a ghost. In his reality, what if he is actually a kid in his backyard or out in his yard playing with his toys, and I'm just a random stranger, like, you know, strolls on up and is starting a conversation with him because it's one of those things where there is a father figure that comes through as well, and he does not like me talking to this kid. He's not too happy about that, and I got EVPs to back it up too, and so it's
Most parents don't like strangers talking to their kids.
exactly. So maybe I am a stranger walking up down the street and asking this kid if he wants toys. What kind of toy do you want? And he always tells me I mean, he has told me specifically what toy he wanted, what color. This is not ITC. This is straight up EVP. You know, on my recorder. Sometimes I hear it in my own voice. Sometimes I don't. And he tells me specific. He told me and Sean specifically what he wanted, a train, what color he wanted, blue. And you know what Sean did? Sean plopped his butt right on that tree trunk, right on that tree stump, and opened his Amazon account and ordered a train right then. And it was there in 2 days. And Sean brought it over after work and put it in the tree stump.
I think
So
I've
he
heard
has
that
all,
story before.
huh?
I think I've heard that story before.
Probably, yeah. 'Cause I posted my audio. I posted that audio to the page with those EVPs
Is this the one where you guys almost always leave some piece of toy every time you go?
every time. We
I,
ask him what he want. We ask him what he wants. We ask him what he wants, and he always comes through. He's told me ice cream. He's told me a train. He's told me cars. He's told me suckers. Like Sean got out of the car one day, or Sean went over there one day, and we asked him what he wanted. We all went over there one day, and he was like, "So what do you want?" He said, "I want candy." He said, "What kind of candy do you want?" He said, "Suckers." So Sean went to the store. Listen, Sean went to the store, bought like four suckers. Okay, bought four suckers, little blow pops, and this is crazy. This is absolutely insane, man. It was just him and Sam, him and Samantha. They get out of the car, and as soon as he gets out, you can hear he started the audio in the car. You could hear the radio turn off, and hear Sam fumbling around with the keys, and you hear them open the door, and the chimes going off on the door, ding ding ding. And next thing you know, he shuts the door, and within like 2 seconds of him shutting that door, you hear, "Thank you."
that is all.
Clear as day. I mean, it looked like the kid was standing right beside of us. It's almost like he knew he was coming and he saw him driving up in that car and he was waiting for him to get out of that car to say thank you. And he said, okay, and he walked over, put the suckers on, he put four up because we talked to him in two different spots. We talked to him at this tree stump, and then we also talked to him about 40 yards behind in this big tree, this big area where this tall, really really tall tree is, and he usually comes over there too. And so we laid four, he laid four suckers, stuck them, took the stick and stuck it in the ground, four of them. They took some more lollipops and stuck them in the tree stump. We also have baseballs in there. We have trains. We have cars. We have other people that have heard our us going to the cemetery and taking them toys. They've heard that and they've also came over there and put toys there as well. So it's become like it's kind of spreading where people have been hearing about Graceland and knowing that we visited there, and gave these kids toys and they take the toys of their own and put them in there. And But the thing is, I'm sorry, I talk a lot. I'm sorry, but
I I am good with this. This gives me a chance to shut up on my shows.
and this is interesting because we were at Old Kosciuszko County Jail one night, and it just like clicked, man. I was sitting there and I'm talking, and I can almost guarantee you on the second floor of the Old Kosciuszko County Jail, I can talk to a kid as well. And
Would this be um, near the cell that's got all the old post office stuff?
um, yeah, there's some yeah, there's some old it's in Warsaw.
Yeah.
Marianne, and she was on here. I think Marianne was on here earlier. I saw her. I think I saw her comment on the in the comments. But she does the she does. They're not doing anything right now out there because she's I don't know. They're just not doing any investigations out there right now.
Because I
But I
remember
was there one day.
it in
Yeah,
the post office cell in that
yeah,
jail.
yeah, yeah. And I was sitting there one day, and it just clicked. I always come in contact with a child at the jail every time I go there. I've had him talk to me. Like probably the most prolific time was I was there by myself doing a solo. Nobody else was there except me, and Marianne was down in the library, and I was the only one there. And I had my recorder out, and I'm standing there, and I was like, okay, if you can hear my voice, whoever's here, surround me, come close to me, listen to my voice, come around, walk as close as you can to me, surround me, don't touch me, but surround me and talk to me. I'm here as a friend, you know. If you can hear my voice, follow my voice, and just surround me. And next thing you know, I got this like instantaneous like bout of like my equilibrium went off, and I literally about lost my balance. I had to like catch myself on the wall. I'd like stop myself, I'm like, whoa, I just got lightheaded, and I was like, okay, was that you? Was that you getting close to me? You know, and that's okay. I'm not mad. I said, but was that you that got close to me? I told you to come close to me, and you did. Was that you? And then not even, I mean, it wasn't even 4 or 5 seconds later, I heard a child's voice, like with my own ears, like disembodied, like loud. It was loud, but I couldn't understand what it said. 'Cause I had my headphones on, these headphones plugged into my Zoom recorder, so I can hear. I get live EVP as I'm recording, and I heard the kid with my own ears. I'm the only one in the building. Oh, well, Marianne was way across the building. I was in the sheriff's residence. She was way on the other side of the jail down in the library back where the
Yeah,
yeah, it
yeah.
was all the way across. It was all the way across. I was up 2 flights and all the way across the building. But I heard the voice. I'm like, I just heard your voice. So it sounded just like a child. I could tell it was a kid. And then once I reviewed it, it clear as day said it hurts. She said it hurts, and I'm going, and it literally like made me tear up. I was like, oh my god. And then and it happened over and over again. I was getting in contact with this child every single time I'd go to this jail. And then it just clicked. I was like, Sean, what if that is the same kid that we talked to at Graceland? He sounds just like him. And so I asked him, I said, child, are you the same kid that we communicate with at Graceland Cemetery? Did you follow me from Graceland Cemetery or did you follow me from the jail to Graceland Cemetery? And he responded with yes. The kid. So it was the kid, same kid that responded, said yes, I did follow you from uh, Graceland Cemetery to the jail because I've been talking with him at Graceland Cemetery longer than I have at the jail. So I'm guessing if he is telling me the truth that he did follow me from the cemetery to the jail, and I don't want people to. I'm gonna say this kind of quiet though because my girlfriend's in the other room, but I think he followed me here as well. But um, but I was like, I was getting ready for bed one night. I was sleeping out in the living room, and I thought I heard him say something, and I didn't pay no attention. I just ignored it. and I just went to sleep. But because a lot of times during the week I'll sleep out in the living room because I get up earlier than my girlfriend does. So I just let her sleep. That way I don't wake her up. So before I go to work. But yeah, I thought I heard him out there one night. But
Hey, so you're able to recognize his voice. Is there any kind of an accent in his voice?
no, just a no, just you can tell it's a kid. I mean, he's very vocal. Like his EVPs are like super loud, and he's a very powerful spirit. I can tell he has a lot of. See, I don't know how that works. I don't know if it's just a powerful spirit or if he's just so anxious to talk to us that he's able to like his voice comes out a lot louder. His EVPs have been really loud, and he does a lot of disembodied voices too. He comes out and speaks disembodied as well quite often. And but yeah, he's very friendly. He likes playing with little balls. The problem is we're not allowed to take anything up to, and this is interesting. This I never thought about this though. We're not allowed to like take. We're allowed to take stuff into the jail up to into the sheriff's residence and play with him, with the toys and stuff like that. But we're not allowed to leave those toys and those items there because it's not part of the museum, which I totally understand. But it kind of makes me feel bad when I take stuff up there to play with him, and then I take it back. So it's almost like, if I know that I
But
can't
you
leave it
don't
there,
explain that though.
yeah, we explain that. We can't, now that we have an idea that it's a possibility that this child is also at Graceland, we always tell them, hey, if you're the child at Graceland, we'll bring you toys over there. So we just can't leave them here. We'll bring them over to Graceland. So it's like almost like a secondary. He knows that I made it clear we can't leave it there. It's we're not allowed to, but we'll bring you something to Graceland if you're the child that's at Graceland. So he knows he's going to get toys, and so I haven't been over there in probably a month or two. I guess Sean and Sam, because obviously I'm no longer on their team. We're not team members anymore, but they went over there last weekend, I think it was, and they contacted him as well during a live, so that was kind of cool. I was listening live, listening to the ITC session, and they were talking to some man. I think a child came through as well, so that's kind of cool. He's still there. Yeah.
Does this child have a name?
Um, I've got a couple different names. I've got Corey, I've got Eddie, and I got Eddie at the jail. I also got the name Corey and something else at Graceland, but it doesn't mean it's the child. It could be anybody. I mean, um, but I did get the name Corey, or I got the name Eddie at Grace or at the jail when specifically asking what his name was, and they said Eddie. So, but I haven't got the name Eddie at Graceland. So,
Okay.
it's interesting because what something else is interesting is this this contact with this kid, this child spirit. Well, I've technically the whole second floor is just absolutely insane when it comes to EVPs on at the Kosciuszko, the second floor of the sheriff's residence, and then the stairway from the second floor to the third floor have just been off the charts active lately. And it only started. They put a Victorian wreath full of human hair in one of the rooms near where I talk to the kid all the time.
Mhm.
And ever since they brought that wreath there, it started. I've kind of timed it back to then. I'm not saying that the child has any ties to it, could, but it seems like that's when the activity because the tour guides that does the tours at the old jail said that there was never any activity in the second floor of the sheriff's residence, never. Then all of a sudden it just went crazy. So I don't know. I don't know if it was just a coincidence or what, but it seems like it started getting active once they brought that wreath up there and hung it up on the wall.
one thing I would be interested in at that jail is to find out if maybe that kid has any connection with the pencil man.
The pencil man.
Yeah, you know how there's a couple um, places there in the jail where there's this. It looks like a plaque with all of these pencils
Oh
on it,
yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah, I call him the pencil man because I don't know what else to call him.
yeah. He's around the bullpen or the catwalk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I wonder if there's any connection with him and the child there, since they're if they're both haunted the same location.
yeah. I mean, I've talked to Annie before. I've talked to her dad. I've talked to Porchman Bays. I've talked to um, the child. I've talked to Pete Willis. I mean, I've talked to them all in there. And yeah, Annie's the most like popular story of the jail. I mean, I'm sure if you've been there before, you probably heard of Annie and
I
Annie.
was there last year, for first time actually fully investigating the place.
Okay,
It was supposed to be there a few years ago, and this was I, myself and Scott Smith were there to check out the place because we were going to investigate it, and this was right before Evelyn got sick.
okay. So 2018, 2019. Yeah, 'cause she died. She passed away in 2018. I think it was 2019, something like that.
I think it was
Yeah,
19.
yeah. Because we did the Warsaw Parafest in 2018, 2019, 2019, something like
Okay,
that. And
we
she
were
was
there.
sick then,
We
huh?
were we were there after that
Okay,
Parafest
okay.
because she was telling me about how much it costs to get some of them people out there, and
Oh,
um,
yeah,
and one of the one of the guests was just a little bit late getting there.
yeah. 2019. Yeah, somebody. Yeah,
Yeah, and we were there after that, and then I would say not even a month after we were there, that's when Evelyn got sick.
yeah, yeah. Evelyn was that was her baby. Was She always wanted to bring a Paracon to Warsaw, and she had it. I mean, she organized it and everything. And then it's just sad that she never got to see the fruits of her labor. And you know, it's it was cool. I mean, it was cool. Definitely, it was great experience. I met one of my biggest influences in the paranormal field, which is Grant Wilson. He was there, and which was a really surreal experience. Um, but then John Zaffis was there, and Doogie and Porter. I got to investigate with Doogie and Porter at the jail uh, on Saturday night, which was really cool. Um, who else was there?
I
Oh,
think
Dustin Perry was there.
I was going to say Dustin was there.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, man, Jason. Grant's cool. It was awesome to meet Grant. Obviously it was just a surreal experience. But man, Jason Halls is he's just cool as hell, dude. If you ever get a chance to meet him, he's great, man. Jason's awesome.
I
And
very briefly got to meet him, but did not get a chance to have any kind of meaningful conversation with him.
yeah, I met him at the Bell Mansion, and you know, he was awesome, man. He was just awesome. If you want to, I mean, if you don't want a direct, if you don't want him to tell you the truth, then don't ask him the question because he will tell you what's up.
Well, that's the thing that we need in this field: people to tell the truth.
Yes, yes, absolutely. But
Unfortunately,
yeah,
there's too many people who are afraid to tell the truth. But I'm not going to get into that story.
yeah. Let's
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
well,
opening
that's
a.
another topic for another thing. But with the whole back to the whole space thing, man, it's like I've had there's other experiences my mom had. We lived in West Virginia. There's a place called Pleasant Ridge, and there's an old it's an old back in the sticks 20-mile long road that leads all the way up this big mountain to my grandma's house. And she said that Um, we were heading out there one day. I was young, and they came around this curve, and she said she saw this craft sitting in this field with the light. It was just sitting on the ground, and the hatch was open, and she said you can see the light coming out of the hatch. She didn't see any beings or anything like that. And next thing you know, man, you've seen the hatch close, and she said that thing just went shot up in the air, and just a blink of an eye was gone. And she said she looked back, and she said my eyes were just. She said she looked back, and she said my eyes were like bloodshot red after that, like almost like it.
Well,
It's just it's strange.
her eyes were bloodshot red,
No,
or your?
my eyes. Yeah,
Now, do you remember seeing that?
I don't remember seeing it. No, I don't remember seeing it. But I was young, and I was out looking out the window because they stopped. They stopped and like watched this thing like take off. And she said that I was just like looking out the window, like like mesmerized. And she said she looked at me, and my eyes looked blood like my eyes got sunburned or something. They were red, and it was strange. It was
Now
strange.
with that, have you seen UFOs or UAPs?
Uh, yeah, I've seen a couple. I've seen things that I can't explain. Really strange objects, like in West Virginia once. I saw one, and then here in Indiana, I saw a couple of them. And I've seen stuff, zigzagging across the sky and stopping on the dime. And like I dropped my buddy off. He worked with me, and I dropped him off at his apartment, and we were sitting out in the yard drinking a margarita or a martini, and literally it was the first martini. It wasn't like 8 martinis in or anything where we're like bombed, but and we saw these red lights in the sky, and they were just did you see it going across the sky? Would stop in mid flight, and then back up, and it would drop straight down, and then another one would appear, and it'd shoot across. And it was just doing all kinds of weird, wacky, you know, formations. But yeah, I've seen a few things, but nothing. I haven't like seen like I don't think I've ever been visited. I mean, I've never been like visited before, or I don't think I've ever been abducted or anything.
Lost time?
No, not that I know of. I've had sleep paralysis one night or one day, but that's really nothing. I mean, that's it is what that is, but I can't say it was related to like I didn't see anything in the room. I mean, I was laying in my bed, I was looking around the room, I didn't see anything, but I couldn't move. I was by myself, and I'm like, I can't move. It was daytime too, and I was like looking around, just like it was morning, and then finally I snapped out of it, and I was able to move again. But
Jenny
that's it.
here is saying that she just got a video from one of her team members. Uh, if you want to take a look at it sometime.
Oh, Jenny, yeah, Jenny, yeah, yeah, awesome, yeah. Jenny's my friend. She's awesome. Yeah.
She also just this literally just happened earlier today, but she just picked up veins of Ireland
Oh yeah.
for an extra chapter of things. Literally just
Really?
happened earlier today. So yeah, so we now
Is
have
she?
a chapter in Ireland.
Is Jenny gonna be in charge of it?
Yes, she is.
Oh, it's in great hands. It's in
Yep.
great hands.
And she just said she'll send you the video.
Yep, I see it. Okay, okay, Jenny, I'll take a look at it.
So with all this talk about spacecraft and everything, there is no way we can not talk about ancient aliens because I know that you just went to a seminar not even a week ago.
Last Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah. How was that?
Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome. Um, it was yeah, it was at the Lerner Theater, and if Nick Carboni is still in the room, he was actually at the Lerner Theater. I think the week before that for his he actually him and his team, him and Old World actually hosted the first ever paranormal tour at the Lerner Theater. So that was kind of cool. Um,
It's cool.
but yeah, it was awesome, man. We were right there. Me and my buddy Scott was like right there within 2 or 3 rows back. You had Giorgio Tsoukalos. You had
His hair
uh,
all over the place like it is on
yep, just like it. Giorgio Tsoukalos was there. William Henry was there. David Childress was there, and then Nick Pope. Yeah, and Travis Taylor wasn't there though, which I was kind of bummed out about because he was supposed to be there on the original flyer. He was in the flyer. Um, but they talked about all kinds of cool stuff. Talked about Machu Picchu and the Great Pyramids, and and the Nazca lines and all that stuff. And
The lines.
yeah, and it was so cool. They went into the old, talked about the all the different uh, you know monoliths and the megaliths, and then they talked about that for most of the time. Then the last like 30 minutes or so, they start talking about like newer, more modern like UFO, UFO related topics like the whole congressional hearings and stuff like that. So it was awesome. I had a blast.
I've
Got a
noticed
shirt.
in the last few months they've been doing these hearings and meetings in different places. For example, um, two no last year I had a guy on this show. His name is Gary Heiselton, and he was
Okay.
the vice president of ICER in England. It's the
Okay.
International Coalition something for UFOs, and he told us that a few months after the show he was going to be in Brazil where they were doing one of those congressional hearings.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's awesome.
It's just long overdue that this thing is finally being talked about and acknowledged, and seeing that a lot of stuff is being declassified now, um, and also just seeing new stuff coming up. Like I just got done watching the 17th season of Ancient Aliens, where they spent one episode on the island of Malta,
Hmm.
talking about the giants there and the ruins where civilization had actually predated the earliest known at the time by several thousand years.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's it just makes you wonder. Okay, what is out there that has yet to be discovered?
Oh, who knows? I mean, the stories. I mean, how did all these, if we had no, if if humanity didn't have, if we, if they were pushing, um, blocks around on wood, and if they were, carving stuff out of with wood tools and chisels and all that stuff like that, and we had no access to any kind of aircraft. It's strange how pyramids are found all over the earth in different places, and they're all like modeled, and it looks almost like they're built and like modeled from the same, like they were or designed by the same people.
Like
So it's like,
the same set of instructions.
yeah, yeah, it's
Uh,
amazing.
it's there's that, and there's also the different hieroglyphs that show the same designs in all these places that would at the time was impossible to get from one to the other.
Yeah. And as I mentioned earlier, it's they mentioned how all these different cultures talk about Orion and the Pleiades, and Arcturus, and different places like that. They claim that that's where the people came from that gave them their knowledge. Everybody, we all have had teachers that taught us something. And I think one of the first things I would ask an alien is like, who were your teachers? Where did you get your knowledge from?
That'd be a great question.
We got your knowledge from you, obviously. ET. Where did you get your knowledge from? You know, that
From
would be a question.
their
That'd be a,
ancient aliens.
yeah. Did it's like you're on a planet. If say for instance, um, these beings on these other planets obviously had somebody. You know, these beings came to our planet. And you're seeing these different pictures in these, these caves and stuff, these hieroglyphs and these pictures of these alien grays, you know, and we documented that history. What do you think? And what do you think would happen if we traveled to the stars and we went to a planet that was less civilized than us? They're gonna look at us as gods, as
Yep.
we looked at them as gods. And what are we gonna do when we get to that planet? We're gonna show them stuff, show them what we've learned, and we're gonna teach them, and they're gonna, make monuments in memory of us, and we're the gods to them. So I
I
mean,
see it now on some random planet. There's going to be a great big statue of this guy wearing a sock hat and a hoodie and a great big beard.
with racing stripes.
Yeah, and and that is not entirely dissimilar to some of the statues and monuments that we have now.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. The Sphinx. All the Egyptians. The different Egyptians. The pictures of the obelisks and different pictures you see in the caves and the pyramids. What if they had pyramids on their planets and they came down and taught us how to build our pyramids?
Right.
How in the heck we build these massive pyramids with just pulleys and planks,
And
and
what's
it's
interesting
like,
about the obelisk that you just brought up is um, apparently each one of them is all made out of one big stone or piece of marble.
yeah.
There's one that is still left in the ground that they had abandoned because it actually cracked on them. So now it's no longer good for them to use.
Hmm.
So it stayed in its carving area, whatever you want to call it, and it's been there for thousands of years.
Yeah. And all these different gods and stuff like that, that the earth, that the people on the earth have been worshiping, just Zeus and Mithra and all, Jesus and all these different deities. you know who knows, these they might be aliens. We think of them as gods. It's the same thing we would think if we went to their planet, and we would look like gods to them. But
That's
so it's
what
interesting.
it was mentioned on the show, and I actually believe this, but there's a theory out there saying that Noah's Ark was actually a seed ship bringing everything over here.
Huh.
Yeah,
Interesting.
you never heard that?
Kind of. I think I did hear something about that, but I didn't read too much into it. I'm more familiar with just the Noah's Ark story, but uh, and then the story in the and what's there's the other Ark story. I can't remember which where it was from. It's very similar to Noah's Ark.
Another theory that I heard about Noah's Ark was that it wasn't the entire planet that flooded. It was actually
Just that region,
just that region,
a
the
regional flood.
Mediterranean Sea, and everything out east there. That
Hmm.
part flooded
Hmm.
because it begs the question: okay, if the entire planet flooded the way that they said it did, where did that water go?
I have no idea.
That's a lot of water.
Yeah, it is. It is a lot of water. It is a
Uh,
lot of water. And it's just strange, man. It's just we know we're not the only ones out there. We know that we're not the only ones. It's just just by simple um, probability that the billions and trillions of planets out there and the billions of galaxies,
mhm.
that we're not the only ones there. I mean,
There's no possible way.
no. And
It,
have you ever like what you ever listen to Bob Lazar? You ever heard of Bob Lazar?
I have.
Have you listened to his interview about him back engineering the craft at S5 out in White Sands in New Mexico? Have man,
No,
he has
the only
yeah.
introduction that I have of him was watching a show that was called Decoded. They were talking about him, and they were also talking about John Lear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really the only introduction that I have of him, but I am familiar with that name.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Bob Lazar worked at S5 supposedly, and he actually got a job out there because he was replacing. Well, they didn't tell him what he was doing until he got out there and got debriefed. And but he has an awesome book called Dreamland, and it was made by George Knapp. It was coded, forwarded by George Knapp. But he was out at S5. Bob Lazar was, and he got put into this program. He flew out of Dolce or not Dolce. It was uh, oh
Area
shoot,
51, is it?
huh?
It's not Area 51, is it?
No, he flew out of he worked at I can't remember. But anyway, he got a job out at S5. He worked there and he got a job out at S5. When he got out there and they debriefed him, they told him that what he was going to be doing was working on the propulsion, working on in propulsion. So he thought maybe he was going to be working on some kind of military craft or something like that. But when they debriefed him, they told him that they showed him what he and it was just there was like three craft in his hangar, and there was like three or four different craft. They were different sizes, but they looked generally the same. And he wasn't able to touch them. But he said he did actually reach over and finally got to touch one. He said it was literally it felt like polished steel. It was almost like it was molded out of it like a press, um there was no rivets in it. It was just like molded into one single you know
Like a
disc.
sheet metal.
Yeah, it was like cold to the touch. He said there was no rivets or anything in it like that. And when they finally debriefed him and told him exactly what he was going to be doing, he said, "We're going to be back engineering and try to figure out, how these craft got here. We need to know the propulsion of these craft." And when he asked, "Where, where did you get these craft from? Where did they come from?" He said they came from Zeta Reticuli and the Zeta Reticuli star system. And he said that it was really ominous because he crawled into this craft. He said he was in. Well, what happened was that he was actually replacing a worker that was working on the craft. He said for some reason they cut open a. They said they had nuclear reactors inside these craft. He said he cut into one of the well, not a nuclear reactor, but a reactor. And when they cut into the reactor, it was a live reactor and it exploded on him, and it killed like six people. He said that the explosion rivaled a tactical nuke. It was that strong. It was like a nuke went off, like a small, tactical nuke. So it killed those guys. So he was there replacing them. So he said he crawled up into this craft, well, down into this craft, and it was really small. It was looked like obviously seated, somebody. It was like 3, 4 foot tall, and he said that in the bottom of this craft there was three arms, like three little columns, and they each had a free movement. They each was able to move in random directions, and there was a little reactor right in the middle. And what he figured out was these little reactors, these little I don't know what he called them, but he said they could flip. And he said what happens was when this thing is flying, um, it will take all the little conductors or whatever you call them, and they would all shift forward, and the ship would cock up like this and ride like this, kind of nose down with the tail end up like this.
It almost
And
sounds like some sort of a magnetic system.
yeah, but what it was an artificial gravity. It was so so what he said was the the ship had its own gravity wave. The gravity of the Earth had no effect on it. So um, that's how all these craft are able to literally go at speeds of 8, 9, 10,000 miles an hour and stop on a dime without it splattering the people the inhabitants of the people
The
inside the cockpits and stuff,
There's
because the gravity in the ship had no, like, the Earth's gravity had no effect on their gravity, and what it would do, it would just like create its own gravity wave, would ride eternity forever. and it's built. He said that's why when you see videos of like UFOs going in at slow speeds, they're really erratic because they're not used to traveling at slow speeds. They're used to traveling at very high speeds. This was actually the craft he worked on was actually built for you know space travel, and and the claim is he had element 115, which was what name on the periodical table at the time, and he supposedly he stole a piece, or he has a piece from Area 51 or S5, but and the feds have like raided his place like dozens of times and didn't find anything, and
If I stole something from Area 51, I would not be keeping it in my house.
no, he actually lives in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Bob Lazar does. He runs a science. He makes a lot of like scientific like instruments and
Oh wow!
in his own shop. So yeah, he doesn't do a lot of the UFO stuff anymore. He's never made a dime off it. His story has never changed, and it's so that's what blows me away. Because a lot of time you have a story like that, it's throughout the years it changes a little bit, and it kind of discredits what you're you know discredits your story. And but his has never changed, and he's taken lie detector tests, and I believe him. I think he's telling the truth. Um, and to me, it's one of the most fascinating stories ever. Yeah, if you get a chance, listen to Dreamland, or the audiobook, or the read the book. It's so fascinating. It's such a good
Was that
story, man.
a movie or a documentary, Dreamland? Because that
Yeah,
sounds.
I think so. Yeah,
I may have that because that sounds very familiar.
yeah, it's a great book, man. Great book. I listened to it at work one time, and I was just like mind blown because I knew the Bob Lazar story. I knew the Bob Lazar story already, a lot of it, but then that goes into you know, more detailed parts of the story that I did not know about. So it's really good.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
We are now coming up on the hour, and I feel like we
Yep.
are just getting started.
You have to bring me back again, man. I'd love to come back on, dude.
I think you
I
twisted my arm. I've got no choice but to bring you back here sometime.
I've had a blast, man. I love talking about this stuff, man.
Oh, I could tell, and
Yeah.
it's very interesting to hear, and also refreshing to hear.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
yeah,
thanks a lot. Appreciate it, Nick. Hey, Nick Boulay, man. Good seeing you, man.
oh yeah, he's on it when it comes to these kind of shows,
Oh,
and
Nick's awesome. We don't talk that often, man. But dude, Nick's an awesome dude, man. I follow him on Facebook, and see what he got going on, and you
well,
know.
for a minute he was going to be a pair unity.
Oh, okay.
For a minute he was going to be there, and then life happens and couldn't quite make it. So
I haven't had a chance to meet him yet. I'd love to meet him one day. It'd be cool. So I'm sure one of these days we'll cross paths.
he's got. Are you familiar with the paranormal vest that he has?
Oh yeah, it's great, man. The battle vest, yeah, it's great.
I think, Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's got an alien patch on it. Um, it seems like he's got a patch for everything.
Oh, well, hold on, I'll show you something. Hold on. I'm about to fall on my chair. This is what I'm doing now.
Just had a blooper.
This is what I'm doing now.
Oh, that is awesome.
Astrophotography, yeah. It's my star tracker. That's my tracker. I'm doing that from. I'm gonna be. I haven't had a chance to use it yet because our weather has been shitty lately. I haven't. It's been cloudy as hell, so I haven't had a chance to do that.
Do you
But
have Star Tracker app on your phone?
yeah, I got a few things on my phone. I got Stellarium, and I use Stellarium. I use Polar Finder. Because Polar Finder is what I use to align my Polaris when I line my star tracker up with Polaris. Um,
Here's the one that I got.
I use Stellarium. You get the
Yeah, so it's very similar to the one that I got.
yeah.
No matter what direction you point your phone at, it'll show you exactly what's there.
Yeah, yeah. It gives you a chance to like uh, to find out what your objects that you want to track, and you can point your I've got a few. I'm piecing together, like I said, I'm piecing together my astrophotography kit right now. I'm getting some lenses and got my nice little DSLR right now. Got my Canon. Got my Canon. Oh, yeah, there's my EOS Rebel T8. So I got a little small. This is a kit lens, but I got a lens or two coming in. Really good astrophotography lenses. But I also use my phone, my Galaxy phone, which has a fantastic fast aperture camera, fast f-stop camera. It's like a 1.7 f1.7, super quick, lets in a lot of light. It's a great camera.
They've
But I
been
captured I
some.
captured the Milky Way with this pretty well actually. 30-second exposures, non-tracked. But
That's awesome.
yeah, but yeah, definitely. I would definitely love to come back on again, dude. It was blast, and this time went by so fast.
It really did. Yeah,
We
I'll have,
didn't, and we didn't talk about the paranormal that much. We only talked about the paranormal for like maybe 10 minutes. So that's what that's what we planned on. We planned on talking about more about space and
that was the
you
plan.
know, sprinkle a little bit of paranormal in there, and
It always makes its way in there, even on shows that I absolutely do not want to talk about hauntings. But the thing is, when you think about it, no matter what aspect of life we are in, at some point it will cross into the paranormal.
yep,
It's
yep,
unavoidable.
yep. It is
So
definitely.
so yeah, Phil, thank you so much for being on this show. It's been a
Jeremy,
blast.
thank you, man, for having me on, dude. I appreciate it. I had a blast. Can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, definitely have you on sometime next year. I
Actually, Jenny, yeah, you're still there.
Yep.
I want to be on your show again too. I have a blast with you as well. I want to be on your show again. So
There you go, Jenny. You better snatch them up.
yeah, we had a great time. I was on her show twice. We had a great time with EVPs and stuff like that. It was fun. Robin, me, Jenny were on. Me, Jenny, Robin, and Robin Sweetroll, and a few other people. It was great.
That's awesome.
Cool.
So, all right. Well, everybody out there, thank you so much for playing along with us tonight. It's been a different conversation, a much needed conversation. Next week on 13th Dimension, I'm going to have Jacqueline Dixon on the show, and she is one of our network show hosts for Paranormal Path Peeps, and we are going to be talking about her work in theater. So I
Cool.
cannot wait to hear what kind of story she's got from on that. Um, Philip Gibson, thank you so much for being on the show. I will have you back on next year.
Jeremy, thanks a lot, brother. Man, I had a blast, man. You're awesome, dude.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. And everybody, see you next week. Thank you so much.